Hi, I'm Chase from Southern Pacific 449 Productions, and this is episode 2 of Steam in the Dark, where we discuss steam that existed or still exists that often get thrown into the shadows for one reason or another. Today's locomotive brings us to a request made by one of my subscribers, Southern Pacific 4451, who asked if I could do these N&W 2174. And so without further ado, let's roll right into this. Our story begins in 1948 when N&W built 2174 and some sisters at the one and only Roanoke shops, which on its own, the Y6B were phenomenal locomotives, being able to pull long freight trains unassisted, proving itself as another marvel of steam technology, being one of the best articulated compound milles ever built. Though also being built in 1948, they were some of the last steam ever built. Since she was built towards the end of steam, she'd been picked in 1959 to halt an excursion with Y6A 1240 for the N&W's farewell to steam excursion. In 1960, however, she was officially written off to a scrap dealer, the United Iron and Metal Company. They would sit there for 16 years. You may ask, why she and 1240 sat for so long? As if they were to be scrapped, wouldn't they be scrapped as soon as they arrived? Well, I'd respond with great question, as yes, she and 1240 were not scrapped, at least when they should have been. This all comes down to the great man who managed the scrapyard, who had a heart for these big beauties of steam and wished to see them preserved. He would sideline them so people could raise money to buy and preserve these locomotives, as he wanted dearly for these locomotives to find a home. In the 70s, these locomotives were finally looked upon by local rail fans with the help and support of the manager. They would try to buy both locomotives, though as History in the Dark said, the manager asked for $10,000, which may seem a lot, but speaking of the massive size of these locomotives, it was a steal, and speaking the scrap value likely was more. Plus he needed to make some money to support him as he was growing old. So the price he asked for even shows he truly was wishing for these locomotives to be saved, and he truly wanted them to, which I quite admire him for, as when steam was sent to the scrappers' torch, it was their final days, and he wished these locomotives to be saved, which is a rare sight of what they were there for and what typically would happen to them. Sadly though, he would pass, and in 1975 his company would be bought out by some cruel British organization who had no intention of saving these mighty marvels. They would end up saying, as soon as they were in office, that they wanted them gone in less than a month, as it was impossible to raise the money in a single month. They sadly be gone by 1976, which would put an end to the Y6Bs and lead to all Y6Bs being officially extinct. And that's the story on Norfolk and Western 2174. I hope you enjoyed this video and can't wait to see you in the next episode of Steam in the Dark.